and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Miss Nuccia and I'm from the Winfield Public Library, and today we're making gnocchi. It's a hard word to spell. G-N-O-C-C-I, gnocchi. And it's an Italian dish made from potatoes. When I was a little girl, my mom would make gnocchi on special occasions. We had pasta every Sunday and sometimes even through the week. But gnocchi was reserved for special occasions or company. So when I'd see my mom making gnocchi, I knew we were going to eat like kings and queens, and we were going to have fun because we were going to have company. But some gnocchi aren't pillowy and tender and melt in your mouth. Today, you're going to learn the secrets in making pillowy, light, melt in your mouth gnocchi that you're going to want to make over and over in your house. You're going to learn the secrets that I learned from my mom. But most people boil their potatoes, right? What happens when you boil your potatoes? You add a lot of moisture. With a lot of moisture, you're going to need a lot of flour. That's going to make them heavy. We are going to go ahead and put them in, and we are going to steam them. But I forgot to tell you, for my recipe, you should use 2 pounds, and you can use a scale if you want, just 2 pounds of potatoes per 2 cups of flour. And this is exactly 2 pounds for potatoes. I'm going to put them in my steamer, and I'm going to steam them. We're going to steam them for 40 minutes or until you take a fork and they're nice and tender. Because if we boil them, like I said, we're going to introduce a lot of moisture and it's going to need more flour, and we don't want that. So I'll be back in 40 minutes after I steam my potatoes. So I have my 4 potatoes in my steamer, and they are not touching the water at all, and they are steaming very nicely. And if you notice, none of the 4 potatoes touch each other. They have ample room, and I'm going to cover them, and in 40 minutes they'll be fork tender. So now our potatoes are nice and hot and they're ready. As you can see, I can pierce them easily. I'm going to put them on a plate. Still nice and hot, and I'm going to put them with a towel, and we're going to peel them. Look how easily they peel. Have any of you ever had potato gnocchi? You know, you can even use ricotta in your gnocchi. Gnocchi are such a special treat. 2 more. You could use a sage sauce over it, or plain butter, or a marinara sauce. Delicious. Or you could use pesto on it. When I was a little girl, the part I liked to do the best was the shaping of the gnocchi. So much fun. Remember, I used 2 pounds of potatoes, and we're going to add 2 cups and 2 tablespoons. Move this and keep my surface clean. It's always important to keep your working area clean. And I'm going to use a ricer. This is my mom's ricer. She gave it to me the last time I visited her. And if you don't have a ricer, you could use a food mill. I've used a food mill before, but don't use a food processor because it's going to make your potatoes gummy and starchy and tough. But today, we are going to use my mom's ricer. Cut each potato into 3 sections. insert it. Let me move these away. And when you press this, just gently press. It's going to come through. Didn't come through. Let me put another piece in. Don't put a lot in. Put another one in. It should start to press through. There it is. See, and then you want to spread your potatoes all over, because this way they start to cool and dry. That's what you want to do. Look how nice. Oh, they're coming through now. And make a large circle on your table and keep adding your potatoes a little bit at a time. There's no rush. They're pressed enough. I'm just going to throw them in. So now we've got it all spread out. You're going to add a little bit of flour. So I told you for 2 pounds of potatoes, you will need 2 cups and 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to take, and I'm just going to sprinkle some just around, just a little bit like that. They are cooling nicely. Don't put them all at once. 2 cups and 2 tablespoons for 2 pounds of riced potatoes. You're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of salt. And you said, that's a lot of salt. And normally I don't add a lot of salt. But these are potatoes, and you want them to taste delicious. So sprinkle your salt on. And 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper to give it a little flavor. That's not a lot of pepper, it's just a little bit. Okay. Also, 2 eggs, room temperature. So let me break them. 2 eggs, room temperature. And just stir them up nice. Okay, I think they're stirred up nice enough and good enough. Now, you're going to make a well. Remember when we made pasta last year? We made a well? Same thing. Make a well in your little center. Okay. And then put your eggs in. It's almost like making pasta. Do you remember when we made pasta at the library last year? How much fun that was? Okay. Now, start incorporating. Incorporate it nicely. Just like making pasta. Except we got potatoes in here. Keep incorporating. Okay, so that's enough. Now you take and start pushing everything gently. You don't want to be rough with this. Just gently push everything to the middle. Gently, gently. Just remember, be gentle and push down. Now this should serve about 4 people. It's basically 1 potato each. Okay, we're almost there. I'm gonna divide this in 4. Well, I didn't divide it very equally in 4, but it's okay. You're gonna sprinkle some flour on your work surface. And you're gonna roll it. Actually, I'm gonna cut this even more. And just roll into a long snake. Okay, so you're gonna cut them into 1-inch pieces. And what I like to do is just put a little flour on my work surface. And first, we're just gonna cut them all. And then I'll show you the trick. So here we are with one of the last ones, and I want you to see how my hands just easily stretch it. Like, see? And then just cut 1-inch pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to eat them just the same. Here's the Okay, so the trick to making beautiful gnocchi is using a gnocchi board. It's just a piece of wood with ridges, and you can buy this anywhere. And once you run, look at that. You see the ridges? Look how beautiful. Then I prepare just a baking pan, put parchment paper on it. You can sprinkle a little bit of flour on it if you like, because you don't want them to stick. And you place your gnocchi on it. And so if you don't have a gnocchi board, don't worry. You could either cook them like this or you use a fork. Just run a fork. Run the gnocchi on your fork. See the beautiful ridges? But today I'm going to use a gnocchi board. And it doesn't take long at all to make these beautiful, beautiful ridges. You can go at an angle. Look how beautiful. I bet some of you are going to post some pictures. I hope you do. I want to see what your gnocchi look like. And if you have any questions, you can leave them at the bottom of the video and I will answer them. If you boil them, you're adding too much moisture and you're going to need a lot more flour. A lot more flour means they're going to get heavy and you don't want them to get heavy. So remember to steam your potatoes. You don't use a ricer or a food mill. Don't use a food processor. That gluten's really going to increase. And just spread out with your ricer, spread out your potatoes. And while they're doing that, they're cooling off and releasing some of the moisture. So we won't need a lot of flour. And really, those are the basic tricks to perfect gnocchi. And then use whatever sauce you like. You can have pesto sauce, sage sauce. I just made a very simple tomato sauce for mine, which is cooking. All done. And look, I still have flour left. I might just sprinkle a little bit so they don't stick. But that's it. So now I'm going to wait for my water to boil, and then I will show you how I gently put them into the boiling water and then put them in my sauce. So I'll be back as soon as my water is finished boiling. When you put your water to boil, make sure you add your salted water in there, about a tablespoon. And our water is just about ready. It's boiling. And you remember I told you that we need to put in these babies very gentle? Just drop them in very gentle. And you only need to cook them 2 or 3 minutes. And I don't put them all at once. I give them lots of room. And I use one of these ladles. You see, the slotted ladle? And I'm going to pick them up in about a minute. See, I'm going to ladle some into a container. Just to put in the bottom. And you remember I told you just cook your gnocchi 2 minutes and then 30 seconds more. Look how beautiful and pillowy. And then I'm just going to drop them into my sauce. And then I'm just going to drop some more in. I do it in steps. I don't throw it all in because you don't want them to stick together. Because they are little nuggets. So I'll do it in like maybe 6 times. And I let it cook. Once you see them come to the top, ladle them out. I'm going to put a little bit more sauce in here. And you could put your cheese. Look at them. Oh. Just drain them in the pot a little bit and put them into your prepared sauce. And my last bit. And here is the last batch of gnocchi that goes into my other gnocchi that have been loaded with sauce. I always like to add a little bit of my marinara sauce, just plain marinara sauce on top. And I like to smother them in sauce, just like my mother did. And look at the beautiful bowl that it makes. And it makes a huge bowl, enough for 4 people, even more. I like to sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top. I wish you could smell. How divine they smell. Brings me back to when I was a kid at home and my mom would make them. I always put a little bit of Parmesan cheese over it. I like lots. You can make them the day ahead and warm them up the day after. Just put them back in the oven or eat them right away. So now that we're done, let me review what we've done. We did not boil our potatoes, we steamed them. We weighed our potatoes. We weighed them and they were exactly 2 pounds because we didn't add a lot of flour. We added 2 cups and 2 tablespoons, but actually we even used less than that. When the potatoes steamed for 45 minutes and they were fork tender, we took them out while they were warm and we took the skins off with a paring knife. Took the skins off and then we used a food mill. We made a huge circle on the table and we sprinkled them all over and let them cool so the moisture would escape. You could use a food mill, but we said absolutely don't use a food processor. That's one of the things. Don't use a food processors work for a lot of things, but not for our gnocchi. So steam them for 40-45 minutes. Pair them with a paring knife. Cut them up and put them in a potato ricer or a food mill. Spread them in a huge circle. Then we use 2 cups and 2 tablespoons, but like I said earlier, I used a lot less than that. Sprinkle your flour on top, most of it, but not all of it. Add your 2.5 teaspoons salt, and that seems like a lot, but you're flavoring potatoes. And then add 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper on top. Make a well in the center, add 2 beaten eggs, and then with your fork, just stir them up like you're making an omelet, and then start incorporating the flour and the potatoes. And then use a pastry cutter or a food scraper and just work it into a circle and just work it gently. Be very gentle. You don't want to be rough with them. And then when it looks as if your potatoes are all incorporated with the flour and the eggs, make a ball, cut it up in 4, boom, 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 and start rolling. And then just on your table, have them all spread out and all cut up, and then take your gnocchi board and just roll them from one side to the other, or your fork, either or you don't have to do anything. And then when you bring your water to boil, add a tablespoon or so of salt. And then when it comes to a boil, drop them in. You don't boil them all at once. If you boil them all at once, they're gonna all stick together and you're gonna say, oh, what a mess. I did it like at least 8 to 10 times, my 2 big pans, because I put them on pans. You remember I put them on pans with parchment paper and a little bit of flour? And then use one of these ladles to skim them out. They're only gonna need to boil 2 minutes or so, and then you'll see them floating on top for 30 seconds. Ladle them out, put them in your pan, and I like to put my sauce right away, and then they're ready. Bon appetito, everyone, and I hope you try them and let me know how they turned out for you, and I hope it's successful for you too. Follow these tricks, and I am positive you will have successful gnocchi. And good luck, everyone, and thank you so much for watching this video. And if you liked it, please leave a comment. Let us know how it worked out for you. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, see you soon, everyone, and thank you so much for watching and joining in. Bye, everyone. I miss you all. Bye, everyone.